Dialed in to Box and Brews, you might hear something you can use. Like tips on your cash or tips on the suds. You're gonna want to use the smarts of these studs. Cause they know the brews, and they know the box, and they know they can't help the stubborn fucks. So listen up, cause shit's not funny. And save yourself some beer money. Box and Brews.
Bucks and
Box and Brews.
Bucks and Brews. Welcome back to Bucks and Brews. Nick.
David.
We missed last week.
Did we really?
That was your fault.
Absolutely. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I was going through a mental crisis of my own.
You were. You had a little issues.
Yeah, things just, it just all of a sudden hit and wasn't really well. And so it was, I'm not going to lie to you guys. You're important, but I think I'm more important than you guys. So
Self-care, man. That's all self-care.
Yeah.
Speaking of important, what are you drinking, my friend?
You know what? I'm drinking, sponsored by me for the first time in God knows how long. Is it Shorts? It looks. Oh,
It's Shorts.
Yeah, Shorts Brewing. Fall IPA. It's a pure Michigan. One thing that popped out was all Michigan ingredients, so I was really happy about that. Dave's gonna sniff it. So,
Nope.
David is not an IPA guy. So what do you got?
So, my daughter sponsored me
Ooh,
for this one.
That one's really good.
It is really good. So, I have some from Southern Tier Brewing Company, a caramel cookie bar, a chocolate bar imperial stout. This is delicious.
Yeah, sounds delicious.
And then from my new favorite cider brewery down east, I have the raspberry cider.
There we go.
They have a down east down at Gun Lake Casino now. I want to say it's a cider donut one.
Ooh.
I got to go try it.
Yeah, that's good.
Absolutely.
I got to tell you this before we get in. It's guest day, but I got to tell you this before we get into guest day.
Yeah.
So I went out Thursday night. You know this.
I was just how he was.
I went out with him on Wednesday night.
Okay.
Dude, I went out drinking a lot last week. I might be an alcoholic. I went out Monday to House Rules with Jenna and Lawrence.
Oh, speaking of that, my wife said I could do that. Is it too late?
For what?
Black Friday.
Oh, absolutely. No, they should still have room.
All right, let's do it.
We'll talk off show.
Yep.
Then Wednesday went down to Gun Lake and met Steve. We could see Caitlin a little bit there, and he bought and got me a little liquored up.
Oh.
And then on Thursday, I went out with Christy and of all people, my boss.
Oh.
Nice.
You know, I was critical of her when she started, especially because I can't get interviews of that motherfucker.
she takes the job you actually interviewed for.
I didn't even interview for. I wasn't allowed. Remember?
That's right. You went for the next one above.
Yeah. And I really wasn't allowed to interview for that either. Because they just don't want to interview me because I fucking suck. But anyways, by the way, Michael, we curse a lot.
Okay. All good.
So she has made the quickest turnaround for any boss I've ever had. Because, I was very skeptical.
Yeah.
I really like her. We get along really well.
Good.
Like, we had a blast on Thursday night. I don't remember the end of it. She pulled out shots, and
Oh, David and shots is not a good thing.
it's not a good thing.
Things I hope she learned finally.
She had a blast.
Good.
I think something's wrong with her mentally.
Say
She got me home because I couldn't. You got me to my car the next day.
it did.
And thank you for that. But
Responsibilities.
hey, I didn't fight not. You know how I fought not driving home?
Here's my keys.
No, Christy got me out of the bar, and I went, we have to go this way now. And she goes, no, we're going this way. And I went, but my car's that way. She goes, no, we're going this way. And I just listened, and I went that way instead. I was so happy.
No fight. Yeah.
So I had a great time with that. I had some great baseball this weekend.
Okay.
Not happy about yesterday's game.
No. I
For many reasons.
fell asleep at the 14th inning.
Dude, I gave up at like 12:15. I'm like, fuck it, I can't do this anymore. Dawn looked at me and she goes, this is not the Cubs. I don't give a fuck that bad.
Yeah.
And she was like, I'm out. So yeah, that was great stuff. We got to do one next week because I do want to get into the struggling a little bit, and we should have hopefully a special guest next week again.
2 weeks.
2 weeks. You're right, because I don't think we can do one next week because I'm out of town. But speaking of special guests, Nick, please introduce our next guest.
So, we quickly didn't meet one night at an 80s party, right?
That's right. Yeah.
I see a dashing man with a fanny pack, and oh, man, that guy looks like we could be friends. But of course, I was with my wife. I didn't go out of my way, type of a thing. And
You were not with your wife.
no, I was for the 80s party.
Oh, for the 80s party.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And then magically, Dawn invites us to Small Business Association meetup in Bucks and Brews. Like, hey, we'd love to go do this.
Yeah, it was at Mitten Brewing.
Mitten Brewing, yeah.
Yeah.
So then
Great place.
we're trading stickers and cards, and we have a pile of cards. And finally, that was 6 months ago. Who knows?
Yeah.
And we're like, all right, we have to start doing this. We've been friends on Facebook for a little bit,
Yep.
and finally, I was like, you know what? I could just go into Messenger and be like, hey, let's put these two together.
Yeah.
So,
Totally.
but so we have with us Michael, who's going to be talking to us about being the whole entire CEO. Man, this man, as I say, we were talking just a little bit off air. I did some congratulating to him. I mean, he just hit some really huge milestones with his company, with what he's doing. I think this relationship's going to work out because you seem like a genuinely good human being, which I absolutely love being around good people.
We really like good people.
So,
and we're happy when we can have good people on and talk to them.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Real quick before you introduce yourself,
Yeah.
I'm going to give a couple more. You just did the 75 hard.
I did.
Right, and you completed it.
Yep.
For those that don't know, 75 hard is 75 days in a consistent row. The rules are you did it and I haven't. I'm thinking about it, but it's 75 days. You have to work out twice a day, once indoor, once outdoor. You have to pick a diet, whatever diet it is. Apparently, you can't drink.
Nope.
Because like my diet when I was doing it's just calories. Like I stick to a calorie count. But like sometimes I'll drink and not, but you're not allowed to. You have to read 10 pages of a book, not just any book. It has to be a nonfiction self-help type of a book, business related, something like that.
Yep.
And a gallon of water.
Yep.
And you have to take a progress photo every day.
Every day.
And if you screw up anywhere in between, you have to restart.
Start off.
So, how was that journey? And then you could tell us about yourself.
Yeah.
So, congratulations on that.
Thank you.
That is
75 hard. I mean,
that is fantastic.
Yeah, it was nuts. I often asked myself why I was doing this to myself. It was harder than I would have guessed initially. I read about it in a book. I read a lot. I read Dan Martell's Buy Back Your Time.
Okay.
He mentioned in there one of his clients and a colleague friend had done the 75 hard and just kind of mentioned it in passing. And then later in the book, he mentions it again. And I'm like, what the hell is the 75 hard that he keeps talking about and not talking about? So I looked it up and I'm like, this might be what I need. This is kind of the push that I need to kind of get back into things. Cause you know how it is. You commit to going, doing the exercise, and making things better, getting healthy, whatever it is. You start your New Year's resolution kind of a thing. And then by end of January, February, things kind of fall off all the wheels fall off the bus, and I was like, if I commit to this, then I don't have an out.
Right.
If I take a day off, I'm hosed. I got to start all over again. It was exactly what I needed to kind of break through and do the push that I needed to do. So.
And mentally, I hear it mentally helps you so much. I mean, is that
It really
you
does.
find-
Yeah. It was probably like second only to finding a therapist several years ago,
Which is
that
great.
to really help me to kind of put myself in check.
I started reading about it. I've read about it a million times and I just never do it. And like even now I sat and like I said, oh man, my diet's usually, containing some type of alcohol. But like, and then I'm sitting here going 75 days. If I started now, I'm going through the holidays.
Yeah.
I already know I'm going to fail. Like my brain is already telling me. So like, I'm not in the mental state to be able to get to that point. So it's like, oh, do I start in January? Do I do something?
Yeah.
But again, the other thing is, what are you drinking, my friend?
So I'm drinking the same Shorts fall IPA. I'm a big IPA fan. My wife too. It's kind of our go-to whenever we go out, get an IPA. You have a couple of those and that's more than enough for the night if you're behaving yourself. So
Something we
Nick,
do.
what's that one?
We don't know. I bought a 6-pack because they're 3 and 3 is what I figured. I know we're breaking the tool rule, but
By the way, fuck you for buying shit I can't.
you're welcome. Say,
I just had to give you
I
shit.
love that.
this man picked it. I was just like, this is great. So
You were like, fuck David.
but please, so tell us about your business.
Yeah.
A little bit about what you do, and then we'll jump into some questions.
Sure. Michael Merren. I own ComForCare Home Care of Kent County. It's an in-home care company, part of a franchise group. There are 235 owners, 250 some territories across the United States and Canada. We do in-home care in people's homes, providing for elderly folks, loved ones with disabilities, mostly older folks, I would say, but have some younger clients as well, making sure that they're safe, happy, and healthy, can stay in their home as long as they want to and are capable. So we make that work for them if that's at all possible. So,
That's great.
yeah.
We'll start out with my question because it's something. So my wife is in the healthcare industry. David is part of healthcare.
My mother was an RN for
Yeah.
30 plus years. My
Oh, you
wife
poor
was a
guy.
CNA.
Yeah, my mom, growing up, she was an RN as well. When I was in school, she did her BSN or MSN, and then was a nurse practitioner probably the last 20 years of her life in that. So
Man, I'm sitting between
recently retired.
these two guys grew up rich.
Yeah,
I
I
would
know.
say.
When you get roped into a nurse family,
Yeah.
Yep.
that shit never turns. It just never turns
It never
off.
does, no. I mean, I was probably 12 years old reading the Merck manual for med passing, and my favorite was medical surgical nursing.
Mhm.
Get to see all the pictures of, elephantitis of the nuts, that kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
So,
When,
pretty cool.
The things I Google for fun.
Yeah, right.
when I went to school in Illinois, my mother was an assistant DON at one of the nursing homes out
Yep.
there. If she got called into work on a day off, she'd drag my ass in there with her, and I'd have to sit there and feed. She'd say, "Hey, go feed, so and so over there." So I'd just go over there and start helping.
I visited plenty of nursing homes as a kid too, emergency rooms,
Mhm.
that kind of stuff. Say hello. Yep.
So how do you? There's a million ways to break this down, but how do you get started in in healthcare? I mean,
Yeah.
in home healthcare specifically.
For me, it was a bit of an odd kind of transition. I worked in nonprofits before I bought the ComForCare office. And gosh, last place I was working was in Kentwood. It's called the Green Apple Pantry now. It's 44th and Kalamazoo. It was John Knox Presbyterian Church at the time, community pantry. So made up of 10 different community churches that supported it. I was the one that they selected to kind of bring it into its own entity as a nonprofit, 501c3, did all that paperwork, etc., argued with their board of elders and all that fun stuff to make sure that that got set up. With just like with a lot of other things, it was a church that was in decline these days. Mainstream church Christianity is kind of flailing, and they had gone from a parish of 400 families to 400 people to 40 families to 40 people, all in the few years preceding that, and they were kind of in the process of splitting as well. So the question was, what's going to be the future of this nonprofit? Are we able to keep it? It's been around 30 years serving this community, and serving over 1 million groceries for 1 million meals, for community there. So it was a big deal. And I kept seeing these seniors, Kentwood's kind of an odd area, if you know it. There's huge population of immigrants, the Burmese, the Bosnians, and others, and big populations. I think the school district there probably has over 50 languages represented, and 100 countries. And the other population that's there that doesn't get much recognition is all of these older people, mostly women, that have lived in these homes since they and their husbands built them in the 50s and 60s after they got back from World War II. And they were house rich and everything else poor. They've been living off, subsidies like Social Security, and making choices between whether they were going to have groceries or buy their meds or get medical attention. So I kept seeing these people kind of flailing and struggling in that environment. I was like, somebody's got to do something about this. And honestly, I was at the end of my rope with working in the nonprofit world. I'd been asking people for money for, 16 years, and got tired of waking up asking people for money every day, So I started looking and thinking, I can probably do something meaningful, but also make a living doing it, something entrepreneurial, because I had that in me all that time, and wasn't exactly sure how to feed that, and I found home care as that possibility. So we made the choice to buy the company and kind of try and balance a book of business between private duty, which is privately funded, paid for, insurance, and VA and others that pay a little better. And then working with the Medicaid program where, reimbursement rates were, abysmal, but the work was important that people needed the help. So trying to balance that book of business so that the margins kept the doors open and my own family, fed and that kind of thing. So it worked out. I've been at it almost 9 years now. So
Good for you.
yeah.
It's great the impact that you get to do in the community. We find that healthcare workers, right, they're the most normally, right, they're the most giving people, and they generally care about other people.
Yeah.
David doesn't like people, but definitely gives to people.
I've
Right?
got my days. So.
Right.
It's funny because I just was with a recruiter, talking about a new job, and she goes, "Well, what would you be excited about?" I'm like, "I like jobs that help people.
Yeah.
I've been in my job for a long time. I don't help anybody.
Yeah.
The things I do are inconsequential to anybody's life, in all honesty. I mean, somebody's going to tell you it's important. I'm going to tell you it's not. I've done it for 23 years. It's just not fucking important."
I hear you.
She goes, "It's really weird because when I talk to you, you talk about your regular 9 to 5 and you're like, yeah, but then you start talking about coaching or break room."
Yeah.
She goes, "And your eyes just light up." Right. I'm passionate about that. I said, I retired from coaching after 21 years. And then my podcasting partner goes, "Hey, my daughter wants to play softball." And I went, "All right, I'm unretiring." So now I have 22 years of coaching in because Nick roped me into coaching 9 and 10-year-olds.
Yeah.
And are they good at softball? No, they're not good at softball. Some of them will tell you they're good at softball, and for 9 and 10-year-olds, they're fine. I coach high schoolers.
Yeah.
Girls that were going to play in college.
Yeah.
It's way different.
I bet.
And yeah, that's a passion for me. You don't get it, you don't get into coaching because you're going to make a lot of money. I mean, you do it. You're Brian Kelly, okay, and you just get fired from jobs and they give you $50 million payouts.
They give you money to leave.
Right. But Nick and I, if we make $1,000, we're really thrilled because all of the money they pay us, we just put back into the team.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, all right. We'll I'll let David read his wife's question.
Yeah, you have to give it to me though, because I don't have it. So this, of course, comes from somebody that was in the field because she worked as a CNA.
Yeah.
She goes, "As someone who previously worked in the medical field, specifically in nursing homes, what do budget cuts like what are happening right now do to your population?" Because of course, we're in a government shutdown.
Yeah.
They're cutting benefits whether we open the government or not.
Right.
But of course, right now it's even kind of worse for these people because checks are not going out.
Yeah, the social safety net's kind of shrinking. The way that I've seen the biggest effect I've seen, we work with the VA, have for about 7 years now, and VA benefits are dependent on the federal budget, and everything's getting dialed back. So they're pretty leery about giving people the care that they need, even though they want to. They are cutting the number of hours that they give to people for care. So if we had a client previously that maybe would have had 40 hours a week or 21 hours a week, now they're getting 11, 9, 6. It's help, but it's not help enough. And the reason that they're doing that is because they're afraid that there isn't going to be money to pay for it. And I think the same is probably coming with the Medicaid program. And we work with a lot of folks on Medicaid. I have about 240 clients, and I would say well over 100 of them are Medicaid recipients, and their care is, entirely funded by state and federal funds that may or may not be there, come next month or the month after, maybe by the beginning of the year. So they're being really cautious about what they approve. So
I want to jump on my soapbox for a minute, which 2 of our listeners currently will not be surprised because I'm on it all the fucking time at work. So SNAP benefits are obviously not going out at the first of the month.
Right.
That costs us $36 in our yearly taxes. It costs us $36.
Yeah.
Whereas subsidies to big business costs us over $700 every year
Yep.
in our taxes. So, Michael, can you explain to me how much further the money goes for the people you serve than, let's say, the Walton family?
Yeah, no, of course. Yeah, and the idea, I suppose, that they try to push is that it'll trickle down from the Waltons. Well, we know how that looks.
How old are you?
I'm a Gen Xer. I'm 52 years old.
So I'm 48.
Yeah.
So we were raised with Reagan. Have you seen anything fucking trickle?
Just urine.
Yeah. I've never seen money trickle.
No.
Rich people aren't like, here, have all of my money.
Right. Yeah, no, they save up and they use it to buy, rocket ship shaped like those. So,
Right.
yeah. So yeah, it's amazing. No, I haven't seen that myself. And what I have seen is a number of people who are, paycheck to paycheck, and they're literally counting their money to make sure that their kids have, school lunch or whatever it is. If we didn't fund it, at the state level, that it wouldn't be a thing here. For these kids to be able to have lunch even at school, it's abysmal the way that we handle money as a country. We'd rather give, billionaires tax breaks and cut subsidies for programs that keep people from starving, dying from, insulin, lack of an insulin shot or those kind of things. So yeah, it's a little scary the way that most people can disassociate themselves from the needs of other people. So
let's call this the let's pick on Nick portion of the show.
Absolutely.
So Nick, you like to pretend you're a conservative.
There's times, yes.
What do you feel about your tax dollars going to free school lunch?
I fucking hope they tax me more.
Yeah.
Why?
Because I grew up poor, and I know what it's like to be that hungry kid, and I understand. You and I both have a passion to coach kids, right? I mean, sure, and we call college kids, right? But like, we want so much better for the generations coming up, and we want to build these kids. And I don't think everything has to be equal, but I mean, if my equal is the fact that everybody gets 3 meals, is that the bare minimums of life, I'm okay with.
Does your daughter need free lunch?
No.
Are you going to be pissed off that you're buying free lunch for kids that don't need it?
Never. I mean,
again, where did we coach together? We coached at Godwin.
Right, yeah.
How many of those kids needed free fucking lunch?
I bet 90% plus.
I don't know how many kids after school, before practice, I had to go buy food for. Because they didn't eat that day.
Well, I coach at Granville, which doesn't need the money necessarily, but there's, the one or the two.
Do I have to edit that out? I don't think you ever said that on the show before.
It's all right. But I say
most of them don't need the money.
But I started buying granola bars and keeping them, because I already have 2 backpacks. I think we're getting a 3rd one this year. But for my weigh matches, because I don't let my kids eat during matches. I don't. We're athletes. This is how we do. But hey, here's a snack for on the way there, right? Like get your little, your protein boost, get something in you, and to me, it's just, I don't know. You being hungry is not going to help anybody in this world, right? Like,
and again, let's pivot back to that for a minute.
Yeah.
So you coach at Granville.
Yeah.
And most of them don't need the money.
Correct.
Where did you go to school?
Granville.
How much money did you have?
I went to Granville because of so I used a different address to go there, right?
Yeah.
So in other words, you didn't have a pot to piss in, really.
No. I mean, my money came from me hustling, right? We've talked about it 1,000 times.
Right. So what some of those kids could be going through. And let me ask you this, Nick, because I'm just going to start leading questions like I'm a lawyer.
Yeah.
Do you necessarily want to admit, hey, I'm poor?
No.
Right.
Especially in high school or even middle school. You don't want to say that, right?
No.
Because it's embarrassing.
I mean,
and who would want that for a kid?
Exactly.
I mean, it comes through, right? I mean, I still have a hard time. We were talking about it today. I was interviewing for something else, like a podcast, and it's very hard. I wear this T-shirt, right? This came from JCPenney. My wife bought me a clearance polo one. It had like a little, what is polos? Like the horse.
Right.
But like, we don't have those types of things. And to me, a t-shirt, whether it's this one or whether it's a polo t-shirt, they do the exact same thing.
Yeah.
I felt the richest when my wife and I were probably 7. I went to Nautica, to the outlet mall, because they used to run 5 t-shirts for $20.
Yep.
Right.
I have name brand. I'm wearing Nautica. I was like,
No.
man. But it was,
Yeah.
I never had it as a kid.
Yeah.
Like what I wore was, my grandparents went to this place that had seconds, so like where they screwed up on the print or whatever.
Yes.
I still wore my shirt.
The old school TJ Maxx.
Yeah.
No, this was
With
like
the Reebok
Yeah.
tennis shoes.
this was like a warehouse that they'd run, but it was always like,
Instead of the Detroit Tigers, it was the Detroit
no,
Pigs.
No,
Yeah.
this was more, hey, you have a wolf howling at the moon, or a trout fishing thing.
Oh,
The teacher walking up to me and be like, "Oh, you a big fisherman?"
Nope.
Nope. Shirt costs $2.
$2. Yeah.
Right? Like, I say, we never really. It sounds weird. We went to Goodwill, but we never really clothes shopped at Goodwill.
Yeah.
I probably should have, because I would have had like a Detroit Tigers shirt
Yeah.
for the first time in my life.
Yeah.
I didn't own a Detroit Tigers thing until my wife bought me one when I was 20 something years old.
Yeah.
Right? Like, to actually have a name on something is weird to me, right? I mean,
Well, and you joke all the time that I grew up rich.
yeah.
My mother lived with my grandmother and my aunt.
Yeah.
So they split bills 3 ways. So yeah, we kind of did grow up rich.
Yeah. 3 incomes in the house.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
Which is
3
yeah.
comes 1 kid.
And they bought that house in 1972 for way under value of what it was. So
Yeah.
I mean, I went to Hawaii 5 times
Yeah.
before I graduated high school.
nice.
So
Nice friend.
I did come from a very privileged background, and then when I was an adult, I had no money, so
Yeah.
I was broke then. Whereas Nick had no money up until he was 21, 22, and then all of a sudden he had money.
Right.
So of course he has that poor mindset for the rest of his life, and I have the I don't want to be poor again mindset for
Yep.
the rest of mine.
Yeah, I hear you.
So, all right. Now, the easy questions. What's the easiest part about your job?
Working with people, serving people. That's the most rewarding part. It's that's the part that I enjoy the most. It isn't easy, but it's you're doing important work. I enjoy that.
Yeah, and so what's the worst part? The people.
No, sometimes, yeah, sometimes. I mean, sometimes people are their own worst enemy, and I've had clients that they treat a caregiver poorly, if you've had, your wife done that, she probably realizes, that that's sometimes the case. Sometimes people, don't want the help, and they work against, receiving the help. Yeah, the hardest part is when somebody really needs it and they're not accepting it, or you talking with a family about it and they don't want to spend the money or don't want to, have somebody in their house or something like that. And what's coming next. The next step is somebody's going to fall, they're going to hurt themselves, or they're going to mismanage your medications, end up in the hospital. If they do, then, the likelihood that they come home is pretty abysmal. For every 5 years they get older, the harder it is for them to get better. And that's what probably bothers me the most, is watching people make those choices for themselves and hurt themselves.
What percentage would you say are people that you look at and you're like, you really could use us,
Yeah.
but they're so against
Yeah.
your services that they're like, no, I don't want this.
Yeah, it takes a lot of effort, a lot of time, to work, with somebody to get them, the help that they need. People are stubborn, and I'm sure but especially older people, they get, they're very self-reliant. They've had, they've only had themselves to, to rely on for years. And so for them to say, no, I need help, that's probably the hardest thing, to admit. And I unfortunately, I think it's probably over 75%.
Oh, wow.
Of the people I meet initially, they don't want services. They need them. They don't want them.
That was a higher number than I expected, to be honest with you.
Honestly, he's right in the neighborhood of what I was thinking.
Really? Okay.
So you remember when I died?
Yeah.
So
Not yesterday. Not Thursday night after.
No.
in 2021, I came very close to death.
Okay.
Very close.
Yeah.
And like everything for the next year, I had people managing my expectations and they were managing me as a person. So
Yeah.
like coaching that year. My wife and Chris, who was the head coach at Coopersville, they kept coming up to me and going, are you really sure you want to go to first base? I'm like, yeah, fuck you. I can coach first base. I went out for the first inning of the first game.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to say I wasn't going to be a good first base coach at that point, but the entire time I'm out there, we didn't get a runner on base. Everything looked like dog shit. And I looked at the dugout and I'm like, I could be better in there. And I went, you know what? I fought them for like 6 months. I fought them for 6 months going, fuck you. I'll do what I want.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, they were right. They were right. You should just go sit here and do what you're really good at, which is keeping everybody happy.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, it clicked, but it takes a while for it to click for people, doesn't it, Michael?
Yeah, I mean, I start talking with a family usually because the daughter is interested in mom getting some help or dad getting some help. And, sometimes it's 2 weeks, sometimes it's 2 years before we actually, get that,
Oh,
that
wow.
person signed,
Wow.
Yeah, the relationship that you build with the family when they're trying to convince a loved one that they need some assistance. Sometimes it's a long haul, and sometimes it's too late. By the time you get in there, it's too late to help them to stay where they are. They've gotten to the point where, they've had too many falls, they've hurt themselves too many times, they've done too much damage, or their memory has gotten to the point where, mismanagement of medications, lack of, proper food or medication, and they're just not capable of being there by themselves. So those are the most difficult to kind of work with. It's this, if I can get in earlier, I can help them if I can. And a lot of times it's a long task.
Well, I say it's just my wife's she's an OT, but then what she does is therapy. So for her job, she sends people to therapy, right?
Yeah.
So
Yep.
it's weird because basically, I'm like, hey, what are you doing? She's like, oh, I call a person and I tell them, hey, yes, we'll take you. Here's the few things that you need. And so it just seems so easy to me.
Yeah, right.
Calls is like, hey, yep, you got there.
You gotta go.
So we got you a bed, right? Like,
Yeah.
and so it's just kind of, let's say, kind of different for me to sit here and think about it from this side.
Yeah.
So, because you guys don't do any therapy, right? You
No.
guys, okay, so would you mind walking me through a basic normal day of what one of your employees would do
Yeah.
at a house?
So what we do, we call them ADLs and IADLs. So that's activities of daily living and kind of the stuff that's kind of around the periphery of those activities. So cooking, cleaning, bathing, personal care. We're really trying to make sure the environment is safe, the individual is safe, they've gotten, something to eat, the water they need, medications, etc., so that they're able to stay happy, stay healthy, and stay in their house. And that's the majority of it. Cooking, cleaning, bathing,
Okay.
those are the big ones. So
So so you guys go in and cook, and now 40 hours, so I mean, you're there 8 hours a day, or you guys do 7 days a week?
So some people do. A lot of folks, because things cost money, they go for the least expensive option. So a lot of times they're looking, if I can get somebody to come a couple hours, a couple times a week, make sure mom's still up and kicking. She hasn't had any incidents, check her med box, make sure she's been taking her meds, that kind of stuff. We get in on that level usually, a couple
Okay.
hours, the shifts are short. It's not like in a nursing home where caregiver CNA that works in nursing home, they go in, they got an 8, 10, 12, maybe even 16-hour day, right? A lot of our folks, they have 2, 3, 4-hour shifts, and we kind of patch them all together. So I have a team in the office that puts together kind of a schedule where they go Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, they've got client A, B, and C, and they go from the one to the next to the next. We make sure that the miles in between are as few as possible, that they're able to get a full schedule, 6, 8 hours, whatever they're looking for. And then on Tuesday and Thursday, maybe it's another client or two,
Okay.
If we do an 8-hour shift or 10 or 12-hour shift, those are actually on the rarer end. We do some 24/7 care, but usually you're looking at those that are provided by some sort of a payer. So
Okay.
if they've got long-term care insurance policy, or the family is footing the bill, and they've got, savings or a reverse mortgage or whatever it might be,
Sure.
that they're able to do that, then they have those hours. If they're with the VA, the VA will pay for a 3-hour shift, a 4-hour shift, that kind of thing. The Medicaid waiver program, like I was mentioning earlier, because of the cuts, you're probably looking at a 2 or 3-hour shift.
Sure.
But even that can be the difference between, somebody really having anybody come and make sure that they're safe, and not. So we do a lot of those little shifts, the little things.
Okay.
I think we're right around 2,000 hours in a week that we're doing right now. So,
Okay. Wow.
yeah.
So I want to elaborate on that.
Yeah, please.
That's the next question here. So I'm going to read a comment that was said to the question, and then I'll read the question.
Gotcha.
So Chris, who helps, he opened the Maker World we have in Grand Rapids here now, which you wouldn't know.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't go to the Brewers Fest,
Yeah.
but I go to the Brewers Fest. So Chris is one of
He
those
does
people.
chamber events for
He does.
South Kent Chamber. I've met him
Good
several
guy.
times. Yep, good guy.
Chris sounds hideous.
He's hideous. He looks like us.
You're in love, Chris.
That's awesome. I like him.
He's the primary caretaker for his grandma for the rest of
Yep.
her life, basically. And it's exhausting, but he would not trade that time for anything. And then, of course, our question from Julie Green, who Nick and I both know, because at some point we'll have her on the show too. What are the opportunities for caregiving family members to bring in someone for short-term things like vacations, weekends, or evenings away?
We do a lot of that. We call it respite care.
Mhm.
And, with somebody like that who's got a loved one that they're taking care of, usually they're trying to balance that between a full-time job, their own family, care for loved ones other than, children as well as adult, and so to give somebody in a position like that who's doing that work for free all the time, whenever basically they're not at their 9 to 5, to give them a 4-hour break, so that they can go to a book club, go play euchre, go to the Legion or wherever it is they go hang out, relax, take a break, and not have to worry about that loved one. That means the world to them. So we do a lot of those, what we call respite shifts. A lot of times people are paying for that out of pocket, or they maybe have VA or Medicaid that kind of fits the bill for that. And we want to make sure that that family and loved one gets a chance to recharge. Some of the biggest tragedies I've seen were caregivers for a loved one, wife for a husband. Typically, husband's got dementia. He's, knocking on death's door a lot of times. And the wife actually dies before he does, and her being in perfectly good health when things start, but she exhausts herself, and if she doesn't take care of herself, if she, catches a cold, a flu, whatever it is, oftentimes will lead to pneumonia because your immune system is like crap when you've, gotten to that point where you've exhausted yourself. And I've had 2 people in the last year that they were in otherwise good health themselves, absolutely exhausted themselves to death, and they died before their loved one.
So I remember in 2003, my grandmother fell and broke her hip.
Yeah.
And her and I did not get along at this point, but because my mother had to take care of my step grandfather at the time, who was a piece of shit.
Yeah,
She's like, "Hey, can you take grandma?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that's fine, whatever." So she came with us to live, and she was there about 3 months.
yeah.
But of course, there were times we needed to go do things.
Yes.
I had a younger child at that point. Halloween hit.
Yep.
Hey, we need to take Caitlin trick or treating. So I had to find somebody to come in basically and babysit for the night.
Yeah. Yeah.
I went and watched one of the Cubs playoff games that year at Woody's.
Yeah.
But I had to have somebody come in and babysit for the night.
Yeah.
And back in 2003, for me, it was hard to find somebody that was qualified to do that.
Right.
And of course, Dawn and I both worked. We worked out of the house at that point.
Yeah.
So we also had to have somebody there during the day, just,
So you
in
could
case, in case grandma needed something, because at that point she's healing her hip. She can't walk.
Right. Yeah. Who's going to get her a glass of water?
Right.
That's
I mean, go to the
medication.
bathroom, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
And, it was much harder for us to find people. And of course, my mother at that point is working in, different nursing homes up here. So she had some people.
Yeah.
But she wasn't tapped into, hey, this person can come every day and help.
Yep.
So, you know, we were exhausting everything we could to find somebody to just come in and,
Yeah.
and give us a
You
hand.
use up your resources, whether that's family members, loved ones,
Yeah.
church, members, whoever it is. You know?
Right.
And once you've exhausted your network, you've used everybody that you could. Who do you turn to? And yeah, that is exactly where we come in.
Well, and with this, a lot of times, you know, you don't necessarily want to call your friends.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not going to call Nick and go, Nick, can you come over and watch Grandma today?
Yeah.
Because that's not his job and it's not his problem.
Right.
Yeah.
But
He'd do it for you, though. He's a good guy.
Yeah, look, we're gonna cut that out of here.
You wouldn't have watched my grandmother, but you would have watched my aunt.
Yeah, absolutely.
There you go. So, I mean, you know, you run into those things and you're like, hey, I need help. And what you do is you provide that help with people that, you know, are good at this.
Yeah. And, we vet our employees. We do the background checks, the reference checks, we do training. And, they're W-2'd employees, so it's all, on the level. And I think that's, a good thing. One of the things that you run into if you're relying on those family members, friends, loved ones, neighbors, enemies, whoever it is they're not always the most capable or reliable. There are some issues there with them. They say they're going to do it. They say they're going to be able to, and then shit comes up. They can't do it. So
all the time.
Yeah. So with us, we've got 120 people on the roster, and if one says that, they can't make it, we try to find you another one. And I would say, 4 out of 5 times we were able to do that. You know? Not every time, because some clients need more attention. Some clients are bigger, heavier set, and not every caregiver is going to be able to work with them. They can't turn them, can't get them up, can't do those kind of things. But and some of those cases, they are harder to staff. I've got one right now that we spent 8 hours today trying to get covered for tonight because the caregiver twisted her ankle and she can't go to work today, and so.
What do you need for qualifications?
So, a big heart is the biggest thing. You got to want to provide care. It's not a job where you're going to be real successful if you don't like other people, you don't care for people. But we can do a lot of the training on site, and in the office. So
So here, my wife again. So my wife was a CNA and then grew up into the next, and so watching her move a person from a couch to there's a board that they make that you slide into.
Slide board. Yep.
Okay, so it's very different for me because I grew up with my dad's wife. I don't want to say what normal people call it.
Go ahead.
My dad's wife. So she'd always fall off her wheelchair. Well, I have a horrible back now, and she's not a light woman, but how do you get her up? Well, you fucking get behind, you pick up, and here we go, right? Like, I mean, I'm a very strong guy. So like my wife's like, oh, that's not how you do this. And I was like, yes, it is. She's down there. That's how the fuck you do this. And so, it's because
there are better ways. Yeah.
Exactly. But like, we've never taught the better ways. And so, so there's double assist or whatever.
Yep.
Me, I'm a large man. That's going to take at least 10, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. That's one of the reasons I did the 75 hard, so I don't need 5 people to pick me up off the ground.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
I always joke with people, that when I die, I want to be cremated because I don't want 20 people trying to carry my casket across the cemetery.
Well, the worst part is I feel like if I get cremated, I mean, we're going to need a bigger urn than you got. My little thing, I ain't going to hold it all.
Nick, I'm going to tell you right now, I love you and all, but if I'm alive, which I will probably not outlive you, fuck the urn. We'll just put you in a box. It'll be fine.
5-gallon Lowe's bucket is what I'm thinking.
Now
you're fiscally responsible.
Clear about this.
$5, yeah.
The fucking Harbor Freight bucket.
Harbor Freight's probably $350.
Yeah,
You spending $250 on a fucking urn?
Yeah.
No, $5 on a bucket.
So here's the real fun. My wife and I, if everything goes well, our first thought is we'd love to go to science.
Yeah.
And then, but the other thing is, so I own a house in Granville. That's the first house we ever bought. We actually planted 2 cherry trees.
Nice.
There's a sweet and a sour cherry.
Yep.
And it takes one to pollinate the other.
Yeah.
And so we want to get buried below that or into 2 more cherry trees.
Yep.
And so I tell everybody, I was like, look, that way my
You're the
wife.
sweet and I'm the sour.
100%. That way my wife and I are boning forever.
There you
right?
go.
It's best idea we've ever had. So yeah, if science doesn't happen, I'm trying to petition the city of Granville to give me even if the house gets sold or whatever, like throughout trust and wills,
Yeah.
I want to guarantee claim to these 2 spots and make it so that way it's its own little thing.
Yeah.
They're fighting me on it.
I'm sure.
I'm trying to figure out, like, I want to have FU money so that way I can just like, I'm gonna go to the city, I want to buy this, right? Like,
Buy this.
it's $1 million to POA, right? Like boom, this you're gonna give me this, right?
Right.
Parcel it off. If you build a road, it has to go around
Yeah.
it. Like, do stupid shit. That's my thought
I love
process.
that. Yeah.
But no, so you guys do training on site.
Yep.
Are you guys hiring currently?
Oh, all the time.
All the time. Okay.
We interview about 50 to 60 people a week, actually.
No crap.
Yeah. I actually have a VA that does my interviews over the phone. We do phone interviews first.
Sure.
And she does between 10 and 15 a day, 5 days a week. And
That's
then that
fantastic.
might get us 3 to 5 butts in seats for orientation.
Sure.
And we have to hire 3 to 5 people, a week to account for the people that, can't work that week or fall off from the roster. Like
Sure.
you
guys have a big turnover?
Mine's a little lower than the average. The average is about 55 or 60% in our industry. I think ours is probably around 25.
Great.
And we do our best to keep people happy. But what tends to happen is, people have limitations. A lot of our caregivers are single moms, or they're partnered, but the partner has, work schedule and that changes. And then, kids go back to school and they have limited availability.
So I can pick my own hours?
Yeah, it's all about picking your own hours. Yep.
And I can take off whenever I feel like?
Yep. Yep.
My next question.
Yeah.
Can I wear sandals?
No. Yeah. It's all right.
You have to wear real shoes, dude.
This might be a deal breaker.
That might be a deal breaker. Yeah. No, closed-toed shoes. My insurance is pretty
Okay, well,
pretty balls about that.
That brings me to my next question. Brought to you by, let's say, so the first question is, are you hiring a liaison? That's question number 1, from my wife.
Yeah, of course.
I'm not sure what that means, but maybe. Yeah.
It means his wife's looking for a job.
What liability insurance do you have to carry?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So insurance in our industry is nuts. Of course, we have over 50 employees, so we have to, we have to offer the health insurance as well.
Sure.
On top of that, we have general liability, we have work comp, we have an umbrella policy. We have to do a rider for driving clients in caregiver cars and vice versa, caregivers driving clients' cars, all the fun stuff. So my insurance is probably the second largest cost that I have, after labor. So
Okay.
yeah.
Because you had said you only have a 25% turnover, and you said you try to make it this. So I want to hear what you do to keep happy, healthy employees.
Yeah. So our employees are like blood. They really, if you don't have caregivers, you can't take clients. And, you have to make sure that they're capable and they're able. And so, of course, we have the ESTA, the earned sick time. They have PTO that they can use, when they're sick. We do our darndest to make sure that if they're looking for a particular schedule, certain availability, that they get the hours that they want when they want them, and
I really
work with them as much as humanly possible.
I think you have an employee. I'm gonna I am thinking
You have to wear shoes.
it's
Yeah.
fine. You know what? That's the one thing I can negotiate. I'm okay with.
You have like 80 pairs of shoes.
Yeah, I know. We'll be okay.
And he wears none of them, right?
I wear sandals.
Flip-flops, yeah.
He will wear the shoes in places that he has to.
Yeah.
I didn't see him with sandals at the softball field once.
Oh, there you go.
That is correct. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't see him with sandals at the bowling alley.
Yeah, no, I gotta have them.
Oh, because normally I just take my shoes off. Normally I'm in my bowling shoes because I'm ready to help the
Yeah.
kids. But I really we'll talk about it off because I need to feel. I went through depression. Like I need to feel more self-worth, and self-worth I get it from helping others and doing things, but also I need to have that freedom and flexibility to know that hey, this is what my job is. So that being said, it's more fun. Now, all right, sorry. So you're getting them PTO, you're getting them things. Do you guys do office parties? Do you do?
Yeah, we did a lot more of that before COVID.
Yeah.
COVID. So after the lockdown, the big parties a couple times a year, those kind of they disappeared. It got harder to organize, you know. We used to do one kind of in the northern part of the county, one in the southern part of the county. We'd have 50 to 75 people at Uccello's for lunch, you know, and we'd have everybody in. We've talked a number of times about doing something, you know, to kind of get everybody together again. But problem is, you know, our folks, a lot of our caregivers, when, you know, 3 o'clock rolls around, 5 o'clock rolls around, they're home with those kids.
Family
And, yeah, so there's not a time for it. And we're conscientious about that. So
Great.
yeah, we can't mandate them to do something fun, you know, and
Yes. You can. It just, I don't think you're gonna have really too many happy employees.
No,
As
exactly.
an employer, you don't want to, because
No.
then they show up and they're kind of dicks.
They're grumpy about it.
I'm thinking of the guy that did our theme song right now.
So now for you,
Yeah.
what is it like to buy a franchise? I mean,
Yeah.
why did you choose a franchise versus starting your own? Did you
Sure.
buy an existing franchise, or did you, so all that about it?
Yeah, I can start on. So initially looked at another brand, and it would have been an office from scratch, and had paperwork in hand. We were probably going in. It was December of 16, going into the that end of the season, Christmas season. Paperwork's supposed to be signed to start before the new year, and it was election season. Things were kind of nuts. I had on Facebook, one of the uh, women that she had kids that were in dance with my kids, you
Mhm.
know, so one of the dance moms. I was one of the dance moms. She was a dance mom. And I saw that she had worked for ComForCare. And so I was like, hey, I'm looking at buying a Bright Star office. And I, you know, was wondering if you might tell me a little bit about, you know, what it is that you do for ComForCare. And she goes, let me talk to my boss and make sure it's okay. And she did. She got back to me the next day and she said, you know, my boss, she's thinking about selling the business. She's coming up on 10 years, and she's got a son that's you know, special needs and really could use her attention. And you know, she's thinking she wants to sell and get out. And she's wondering if you might be interested in buying her office. And I was like, geez, I don't know. And so I looked at it and you know, talked with her and twice told her no, I don't think that's going to be for me, you know. And then you know, went to corporate offices and met with the founder
Of the one that you had under contract, or ComForCare?
Of ComForCare, period. He started the whole franchise. Prior to franchising, he started an office to take care of his own mother. So about 30 years ago now. And you know, he had franchised the offices, and the one in Grand Rapids was probably in the teens, I would think, you know, as far as open offices was concerned, out of the 200 and some that are open now. And so it was an older territory, a big territory, and one of the original ones. And he talked to me, and he was so passionate about what it was that we do, and about the company itself, and the, you know, tools that they had in place and education that they had set up. And he really persuaded me. So took another look at things, and yeah, bought an existing office from someone who'd been in the business 10 years. So
Okay.
started out, she had about 14 caregivers. Turned out 2 of them weren't real. They were friends that were on the payroll that didn't really work, you know. But there's one of those. And but about 20 clients, and you know, yeah, I think you heard me mention I probably have 125 caregivers, 240 clients now. So we've grown it quite a bit. But yeah, it was a start anyway, you know. So had something on day one when we opened the doors. So
And so now getting paid, you had mentioned there's private pay, which is a person's own pocketbook, whether it's reverse mortgage, whether it's Social Security, whether it's savings, anything like that. Do you mind sharing, like, if I were to private pay, what is something like that cost? Is it billed hourly, monthly, weekly, daily?
Yeah.
So
we bill hourly, and we have just 2 rates. I don't mess around with a lot of places. They'll have, you know, is it a high tech case, a low tech case? Is it companion care? Is it overnights? Is it weekends? And everything's a different price, right? And they're their rate sheets look like, the menu, for, a hotel restaurant or something, it's not. So
Denny's pick the last.
yeah, exactly. I have two prices. Anything that's 3 hours or more, is one price. It's about $34.50 an hour. I don't mind telling you.
Was that it?
Yeah, and then if it's a 2 hour case, because we have to pay a caregiver more and we have to do more, to make sure that schedule is getting, done, that's about 40 an hour. So
Okay, so the shorter period is longer, more money.
more money. Yep.
Okay.
But a lot of people choose, they'd rather have 2 hours than,
Sure.
more. And, for them, it's worth it to do that. So.
Okay. I see. And then now insurance. So there's
Yeah.
insurance that covers, and then there's Medicare. Do you guys consider Medicare insurance?
Yeah, it's a
Medicare's
insurance.
insurance.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So if it's an insurance case,
Yep.
how do you get to set that price, or do you?
No.
They set that price?
Those are negotiated,
Government.
government negotiated prices. So locally, we have two big clearinghouses for the Medicaid waiver program, Reliance Community Partners and Area Agency on Aging. It's called Area Agency on Aging 8 or of West Michigan, and their prices are a lot lower than my standard prices. But I've always looked at that as that's my charitable giving. I try to balance things out and make sure I'm doing enough of the cases that pay the rest of the bills, so that that's possible.
Sure.
So you may have said this before.
Yeah.
So obviously we have private pay, we have government paid.
Mhm.
Do you have an insurance option?
So health insurance doesn't typically offer much or any thing. A lot of health insurance policies say that they have health care, but they don't,
Yeah.
or home care, but they don't really mean it. They might.
I know that we do have riders for home health care and we do
Yes.
have private duty nursing.
Yes, exactly. So if you get discharged from the hospital,
Yep.
they'll provide you with a nurse. She'll come out probably once a week, and that'll go on for a few weeks, maybe
Yep.
a month. They might do PTOT as well, those kind of things are included in a home health care rider on your health insurance. Typically, if they say that they do home health, that's what they mean.
Okay.
Or if they do think that they do home care, there really isn't a way for home care agencies to get made. I ran it up the flagpole with a couple of these companies that really, they said, no, we insist. We have 40 hours a week, or a couple, maybe 100 hours of respite care a year
Right.
in their policies for their health insurance. Okay, let's see what that looks like. And you start the process of getting approved for the billing, and it's 6 weeks, 6 months, a year, and you're still not approved.
Yeah.
It's relatively impossible. And Michigan's kind of one of those weird states. So most states are licensed for home care. Michigan's not. So you have to have a license to cut a dog's hair. You have to have a license to cut a person's hair, but you
Yep.
don't have to have a license to take care of seniors. You can start a home care office in your garage if you want to. It's
I know. I'm doing this.
Next totally gonna do those.
So there are a lot of kind of fly-by-nights and mom and pop shops, and
Mhm.
they might have 5 caregivers and take care of a handful of clients, and some of them do well and others don't, and there's not really anybody regulating that, but I feel like having the franchise element in my life anyway, means that it's kind of like a McDonaldization of, home care. We have rules and regulations, standards that we have to meet. And it's just like if you go from McDonald's here, to one in Kentucky, it's gonna look exactly the same, or Tokyo, wherever it is.
Sure.
The food's gonna be prepared the same way. There's certain standards for, how things are done. And that's the difference, I guess I would say. So even in an unlicensed state like Michigan.
Well, and let me ask you this with
Yeah.
with that. So when you're looking for somebody, how do you properly vet out this is where I should go? How do you do your due diligence to say, hey, this is reputable versus this is not reputable if the
Right.
state doesn't regulate it?
Yeah, I mean, it gets harder. Obviously, you can look at their reviews. Everybody's got them. These days we've all got Google business pages or websites. I like to say, check with the Better Business Bureau. That being said, I'm probably one of three offices out of 100 in this area that actually is registered with the Better Business Bureau. Not everybody does it. It's important to me, to be in that roster. Check those Google, reviews, that kind of thing. They're not going to be able to provide you probably with somebody to call, because of HIPAA. But There might be somebody that their office has a good relationship with that they could say, yeah, so and so says you can call and ask about us, but most of the time it's word of mouth and reputation, and your reputation is your life in this industry. If you get a bad reputation, if you hurt someone or if you have a lawsuit, then everybody's gonna know about it. So
So you mentioned Google
Yeah.
reviews, which
Yep.
of course, my wife's business has to deal with.
yeah.
Do you sometimes get malicious
Oh yeah.
bad
Yeah.
reviews? How do you deal with that?
Yeah, and sometimes we get some that aren't even meant for you.
Yeah.
I have, it's funny, I have a Yelp review that I've been trying to get rid of for a couple of years now. Yelp's the devil as far as I'm concerned. It's like 200 miles away from me. It's not my territory. It's not my area. I've never been there. Never had a caregiver up there and that kind of thing. So they asked me to submit all the paperwork, saying, that, this isn't my territory, this is out of my scope, etc. Do all of that, and then they bounce back to me and say they can't do anything about it. Occasionally I'll have, a disgruntled caregiver or someone that, probably needed a different type of care. And we went in there to try and do our best with them, and things didn't work out. Most of the time I would say that, it wasn't necessarily something that we did per se, but it was a situation, and you have that. And sometimes those reviews hurt. Got one right now. It wasn't for me. It was for somebody from outside of my area. They came into my area to work, and they shouldn't have been here. It was from another office somewhere else. They sullied my name in this area. So, but you deal with that as politely and as directly as humanly possible, and just try and clear the air. If somebody's got a beef with me or doesn't like something that one of my caregivers did, I want to know about it so I can fix it. If it's something that we actually did, I'm going to do something, to make sure that it's right. So I don't mind that. I just need to see if there's a way that we can make things better.
Yeah.
So, do you guys just hire people to sit outside of a hospital to watch who's getting discharged, or how do we find our clients?
Right.
Like Nick is just
He's looking for that job. He wants
Just
to
bear down to ambulance chasers.
He's like, can I sit outside the hospital for you?
Oh my gosh.
Wouldn't
Can I
that
do
be
that one instead?
that would be a lot of fun. Yeah, that would be outside sales, sitting outside the hospital.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, need somebody to watch you?
Yeah. Now for me, for the most part, because I come from that nonprofit background, I'm all about relationships, and just like in nonprofit work, I feel like you build a relationship through networking, and it might be 3, 4, 5 years before somebody sends somebody to you. Not everybody has somebody that needs some help, right? But some of my best referrals have come from plumbers, HVAC people, etc. So you see me at a lot of the chamber events, at SBAM events, things like that, because I'm networking with people that they may not need me now, but they may need me down the road. Or somebody says, I need something, and they go, I know a guy. I want to be the guy that people know. And so that's how I do my marketing. There's an approach in my business though, where, you go and excuse me, you meet with those discharged people at the hospital, at the skilled nursing facility, at the recovery center, wherever it is. And you establish that relationship. You buy them cookies, drop them off tchotchkes, that kind of stuff. I'm not that guy typically. I don't market that way. So
Not yet.
right.
We are there. I gotta say.
Thanks for bringing cookies.
He's bringing the cookies and tchotchkes,
It's
right?
so funny because you joke about the cookies, but like
Yeah.
when I get a lead on a house to go buy a
Sure. Yep.
one of my best sales tactics is I call them to confirm my appointment, and I say, "Hey, I'm on my way. I'm going to stop and grab a drink. Would you prefer a drink?"
Yeah.
No, oh, great. You know what? And so I usually buy cookies from Speedway. It's 2 for $1, and I show up with cookies. And now I've lightened the mood for this.
Yeah,
person,
you sure have.
right?
Yep.
Never once is it blown in my face. Somebody's like, "You're a piece of shit. I can't believe you got me chocolate chip cookies." Right?
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck am I going to do with this?
Right.
No, it's just, hey, this, but like I really do buy the cookie.
No, I get
it
it,
just
yeah.
lowers it, right? I've never had anybody take me up on a drink, right? It's like I'll buy you a Mountain Dew or a Coke or whatever it might be, right?
Yeah, occasionally I'll do that. Like if there's a nurse that I know in a facility, or there's an intake person at the independent living at one of the facilities in town, I'll email and ask, hey, I'm coming. What do you drink? I'll stop by Starbucks. I'll pick you up, cafe mocha frappalicious raspberry bologna or whatever it is that you want.
Triple espresso.
Yeah, exactly. You know, sometimes oh no, I'm a tea drinker or whatever.
Yeah.
And I don't want any, but you know, occasionally they'll take me up on it.
Yep.
So
Well,
I don't mind doing that.
When we started kind of advertising the podcast,
Yeah.
Dawn's like, we should have a business card or something. And Nick's like, absolutely. I don't want a fucking business card. That's just not happening.
Yeah.
So we pivoted to stickers.
Stickers, yeah.
And we're like, hey, we have a podcast. Here's our sticker.
Sticker, yeah.
And I mean, we have an awesome design by a great artist who hates his design. But, you know, it's something that is distinguishing.
Different, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And people aren't like, yeah, here's my card. I mean, for you, a card works.
It does, yeah.
For us, it doesn't necessarily. We want to be remembered a little bit.
Right.
Yeah, no, and I get that. I've in my chamber work, you know, I've met there's a gentleman, you probably know him, he's a magician named Serge.
Oh, Sergey.
Yeah,
Sergey,
yeah.
Sergey and I are really good friends.
So instead of a business card, he does a sticker as well, and it looks like a playing card.
Yes.
You know, so I really love that. If you've got a unique kind of a gift or a leave behind, those are cool. I like those.
Yeah, Sergey and I are part of the same magic club. Actually,
Nice.
This is a shout out to so Ring 211, which I'm on the board of, is hosting a dinner show this Saturday, which the show won't even be out before then, but it's more fun to talk about it.
Yeah.
We have people on Twitch and TikTok right now.
My daughter will be performing with me.
Cool.
We'll be doing some table magic, and then there's a stage show. $25 for adults, $15 for kids. Starts at 5 p.m. Knights of Columbus in Wyoming.
Oh, cool.
Time in my life. I literally don't do anything with
You do
anybody
this every year.
every year for the past, I think it's been 15 years.
Jessica's grandmother went to that every year.
Yeah, it was funny. I was going through because
Yeah.
one of my things is I always get to the table and I always just screw around and I go, all right, selfie time. All right, cool. That's the magic trick. Right. But it's Jessica's grandma's in like so many. of
Yeah,
them,
she
it's
is.
just fun.
Because you would post those pictures. I'm like, oh, there's Jessica's grandma.
Yeah.
Because she was always there.
Always
That's
there.
cool.
So
Can I tangent time for a minute?
yes,
Why did you want a picture of my aunt shooting your gun?
we were talking about this 86-pound woman shooting a 45 with her back bent, and just me, you know, I say,
I wish I had the picture of you standing behind her like Johnny Bench.
Yeah.
oh, say,
Oh my goodness.
yeah, say she's out having a blast, but
She was having such a good time. And Nick literally was squatted behind her like this,
Yeah,
ready to catch her,
yeah.
and threw her over.
oh man, she just this tiny woman.
Oh, I love that. That's
Yes,
great.
because we were talking about shooting. I haven't been
Well,
in a
if
while.
she hurts her hip or something, let us know.
She's past that.
Yeah, she did.
Yeah, no, it's
Sorry.
all right. But we had fun going out.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that.
That was a good day.
To say tangent time for myself.
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna hire you to take care of my mom at $40 an hour. Perfect.
Same.
But so ring.
Ring, ring.
For months, years, whatever. I was like, oh, my phone sucks. So I get a new phone, and they're like, hey, these leather lines are up for phones. Cool, free phone. $100 for them, taxes,
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
set up the phone and whatever. So I was like, hey, you guys are getting new phones. So I get them new phones, and they go today to get them all set up. So I call my brother. I was like, hey, how's the new phones working? Oh, I gotta get everything set up. Mom hates her new phone because she has to set everything up. And I was like, I can't fucking win with you people. Like, you bitch about this fucking thing not working.
Right,
You,
not working, and then you get something that works. Nah,
Right,
gotta
and
do
it's
something
like-
to make it work. Yeah.
this phone is, you know, technology to me. I don't keep up with technology, but like when I get a new phone, I'm like, oh my gosh, like what?
It does so many more.
Why did I pay so much for this?
Yeah.
And yeah, so I texted my wife. I was like, I'm sorry, my mom sucks, because it's just like, man, you bitch and then you bitch, and it's like you can't fucking win. And I'm just sitting here like, oh, frustrations. So those are my tangent.
I mean, I get that all the time.
I know. Ring,
That's why we sit there and complain about it all the time together.
So now, do you cover your employees' car insurance then if they get into a crash on the job, or
So it all it plays out like in anything, you know. It's like if they're driving during work time, you know, with a client, that kind of thing, our insurance company kicks in, their insurance kicks in, and then all the insurance companies fight about who's
Sure.
responsible for what,
who doesn't want to pay?
PIP and all the fun stuff, you know, and then probably potentially their health care is also, you know, in it, and they have to do all that fun stuff. But yeah, I mean, technically, that's why we have the riders, you know, that we do for that insurance.
So what's the least amount of hours you guys can be hired for?
2.
Okay.
That's what we do.
So $80.
Yep.
Man, it's cheaper to just get a snowplow guy. I say, just wonder if you can just shovel some
No, and
sidewalks.
my general liability doesn't let me do things like, okay, I'll tell you.
Let's hear this.
Yeah, a handful of things. Okay, general liability for home care. Can't get up on a ladder, so no washing windows. Changing light bulbs on the, up
Sure.
above their heads. Can't get down on the floor, so they can mop a floor, but they can't get down and scrub the grout. Can't shovel snow, can't garden, can't do sidewalk snow removal. That's all the things, general liability. My insurance agent, Angela Shallow, great woman, Highland Insurance.
Angela, we're gonna need $20 for that shout out. Just
Right.
saying.
Yeah. She would have a fit if she, heard my caregivers were doing any of those things. So
Okay.
we make sure that they know. That's one of the things we talk about at orientation, and we reaffirm all the time, don't do these things. If somebody tries to get you to do these things, call us, we'll call them, 'Cause it's important. You break your, your bond with your insurance company, they're not gonna be real happy with you.
Right.
So,
Now, I don't know what the right words are. Medical malpractice.
yeah,
What is the form of that in your business?
yeah.
And have you had to deal with any of that, or have you been fortunate?
I've been very fortunate.
Okay.
And, every time I hear, God, somebody's fallen, did we do it? Was it something, that was preventable that we didn't manage? I've never had anybody that had an accident and it was something that we caused. So I've been glad, in my years. But
Sounds like your training's going well.
yeah, it's going well. We do our darndest, and we have a nurse on staff, a DON, that director of nursing, that she does a darn good job of assessing those skills and making sure folks are ready to do the work that they do. So, but yeah, it's a bit of a crapshoot. You have to worry about it, and that, thank God, for insurance. As much as everybody hates paying for it, having it gives you a little bit of peace of mind if somebody does cut their finger, chopping vegetables, or, they're helping somebody and they slip and fall, or they slip a disc or whatever it is. That's what we have the insurance for. So it's not quite like medical, malpractice insurance. It's not quite that expensive, but it's right up there. I mean,
Sure.
it probably, I can't think of an industry where you have to worry about liability more,
Okay.
So we want to make sure that we're keeping people safe, and that's hard to do,
I might be able to think of an industry.
Yeah.
This place's liability insurance is fucking crazy.
Okay, yeah.
Shit.
One of my good friends owns Battle GR, so
Yeah.
I'm literally throwing axes at the
Yeah.
ball, and yeah. So and they have an alcohol license.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah.
So you mix alcohol and axes, and I'm sure her insurance is probably worse than mine.
Their son had to wait. So we used to host our Monday night meetups there once a month. And their son waited on me one time. I didn't know it was their son.
Yeah.
And I started taking a few beers. And they're like, oh man, Nick had like 5 Bud Lights. And I was like, fucking rookie knowledge, bud. Like, what the fuck, 5 Bud Lights? You're because apparently their kid doesn't drink and all that.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, just wait, son. Like, I say, pretty sure the one night at the 80s party, now they have liquor there, which is even better.
When we have like groups that come in after hours, we'll say, after work hours, they'll sit there. Yeah, you're one of them. They'll sit there and go, well, can we drink? Yeah, after you fucking leave. You can't drink here.
No. Yeah. We put a hammer in your hands and a pair of goggles on you. You can't.
No.
You don't have to wear goggles. Let's be clear about that.
No goggles.
No, you don't.
You only have to wear closed-toed shoes though.
Here's the thing
No
about
sandals, huh?
our industry, because I think we had at one point the same insurer that you have.
Yeah.
You can enforce shoes.
Yeah.
But that's it.
Yeah.
So you have to wear closed-toed shoes. They have to be completely flat on the bottom, and they have to be made out of, a
Something
solid.
solid.
Yeah. So like
No
Hey Dudes don't work because
Right.
that's a foam bottom.
Oh yeah. Right.
Any type of boot, if it has any lip on it, any type of heel, you're done. You can't wear it.
Okay.
So of course people freak out about that because they come in with steel-toed work boots, but they
Right.
have like a heel that's, a heel,
Yeah.
and they freak out. So if you tell them, if you wear a face shield, or you have to wear a face shield.
Yeah.
And they get hurt in the face shield, that's our problem.
Wow.
So we can't tell them that. We can say we have face shields, we have safety glasses, or don't wear anything.
Whatever you want.
It's up to you.
It's
and
up to you.
some of these people are like, fuck it, I'm not wearing nothing then. All right, have fun.
I think my first bottle flying back in my face, I was so glad I was wearing my face shield.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, okay, that was, and I'm in the room with a bunch of idiot friends, right? Who,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I'm gonna swing that bat before it's out of your hand.
There were 5 people in Nick's group, and only 2 can go in the room at a time. But of course, Nick is like, no, if it's in the room, I get to break it.
Yeah.
And that's not the deal. You can't break like our crate that holds the glass.
Right.
You can't break our fucking Sharpie. And Nick's like, no, if it's in the room, I get to break it. So I'm doing safety with them. I'm like, listen, you cannot break the crate. If you break the crate, I'm charging him $50 fucking dollars. And
For
he
the
looks at
crate.
me and goes,
Don't.
any of you motherfuckers break that crate, I'm gonna break you. Because I know how to talk to Nick. You talk to Nick.
Right. You gotta talk to him for money.
I was so upset. I was like, man, and then, of course, now my guys are like, well, we're breaking this fucking crate. And I was like, God dang it.
They didn't swing at it once. They were good.
Yeah. So,
I love that.
so, now you guys work 365 days a year?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is your phone on all the time? Or
Yes.
do you have a GM? How's your structure
So,
set up?
yeah, so I actually have an on-call service that I love. When you first start, you're everything. So I was 24/7 every day, all day, every day answering the phone. But we also had, 20 clients. So there weren't that many calls, You get to a point where you got, 15 people where you're doing overnight care at a time. And boy, then you got to worry about those people showing up.
Sure.
11 o'clock at night, whatever it is, you got to make sure somebody's there. I have a company now that does on-call for me. They're trained in our scheduling software. They handle our phones from 4 p.m. till 8 a.m. every day of the week and all weekend long. Now, if they've got something that kind of presents itself outside of their standard operating procedures or instructions that they have, then they'll message me and they'll ask, what do you want me to do? I would say probably 9 times out of 10, when they ask me a question, they really probably didn't need to.
Sure.
They're just being cautious. So it takes a lot off my plate. It takes a lot off the plate of my staff, my office folks. I have a director of operations in my office manager, if you will, kind of a thing. I have a care manager who manages my recruiter and handles all of the onboarding of caregivers and all that fun stuff. I have a scheduler, and I have a reception person that kind of floats and does a lot of the different admin stuff. But we're typically, office 7 till 4, and the rest of the time the on-call staff handles the rest. So
Okay.
works out really nicely. There are offices that don't have that in place yet, and while I completely understand their reluctance to spend the money, it was worth every penny, to me to do that. So
Was your wife happier when you let it go?
I don't know if my wife's ever happy. No, I'm just kidding. No. No, it was definitely it's been a lot easier. I mean, I probably still work, 12, 14 hours a day. I tend to do quite a bit. And then even when I'm not working, I'm at home and I'm answering something, posting on LinkedIn, doing all that kind of stuff. I have a hard time shutting off. Vacation isn't a thing. I'm usually if I'm on vacation, I'm on the beach. I remember once I was on Tybee Island and standing in the water, arguing with somebody on the phone. This was back in my nonprofit days, and I'm standing there talking, and the tide's coming in, and it's like at my ankles, and then it's at my waist. I'm still fighting with someone on the phone. It's like, okay, I gotta go, or I'm gonna drown.
Yeah.
So, it's just hard to shut off. When you're responsible for other people, and for an entire operation, and you take it seriously. So,
How long did you go without the on-call service?
gosh, I would say probably 4 or 5 years.
So here's something you don't know about me.
Go on.
About 28 years ago, my mother was working agency at this point, and they needed somebody to be the on-call person.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And she volunteered me.
Yeah.
So I go in and I meet with the lady that runs the agency, and she hands me a pager. And she goes, if anything happens, these are the numbers to call.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is going to be a cakewalk. This is going to be the easiest job ever.
Nope.
So I get this pager at like 5 o'clock on a Friday. And at like 10:30, it starts blowing the fuck up.
Yep.
There's like 6 facilities that the CNA didn't show up to, 2 facilities that the RN didn't show up to, and I have to go through this list of people to fucking call and try to get somebody there.
Oh,
And I have to call the people that didn't show up and say, where the fuck
Where
are
are
you?
you? Yeah.
So I was up until like 1 in the morning dealing with this mess.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden at like 5:30 in the morning, it started
That's all right.
again. And that was the entire weekend. And it was one of the hardest jobs I ever did, because literally every time that beeper went off, I lost my shit. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? And of course, Nick, you're almost old enough to remember pagers.
I guess.
Oh, it was.
Yeah. So I was in Dallas at a conference recently, right? And
Which,
dude,
what did you win?
Okay, well, we can tell that. So my company has a couple of corporate level awards. One for franchise of the year and one for an individual. It's called the Leadership Award. And I was selected out of 235 owners as the recipient of that leadership award. So it was the highest honor that they give to an individual in a year, and I was shocked. It was such a surprise to me.
That's fantastic.
Frankly.
Congratulations.
Yeah. So Sunday night, just after the conference ends, I'm in bed at about 2:30 in the morning. I, see my phone light up. I have the sound turned off. I've had the sound on my phone turned off forever. I don't want it to ring. But if I'm sleeping and it lights up, I know somebody's. And so it turned out it was our on-call team, and they were just giving me a heads up that someone had called at 2:30 in the morning, Dallas time, that's 3:30 here, to say that they weren't going to be able to make it to their 5 a.m. shift because they were not feeling well. And that person also worked on 9 o'clock shift and an 11 o'clock shift. That's all on a Sunday morning. And like, oh my gosh, okay. First of all, you're never going to find a caregiver, and nobody else is going to answer their phone between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m.
Right.
It's not going to happen. So when it gets closer to 5, call the client, tell them what's going on, see if somebody can come later, do what you do, just giving them the usual, that this is the SOP, follow it to the best of your ability, But that's just a prime example of the kind of thing that you run into in our industry, fortunately.
And you're still answering those calls. You don't have somebody to answer that for you.
So I have a couple of folks, my director of operations, my office person, manager, and my scheduler will oftentimes answer them, but they sleep, and I can't blame them. I mean, it's a weekend, it's the middle of the night. They don't have any obligation to me to answer, a text like that or message like that in the middle of the night. I own the company. The buck stops here.
Right.
I have an obligation. So I do. And they do if they're available, awake or whatever, but it's not expected, so.
Yeah. And that's, I say that most people don't understand that, right? As the owner of the company.
Yeah.
Everything, no matter, like, if everybody walks out today, you still have to figure out everything.
I do.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Life still goes on just because somebody falls in sick.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Now, what does it look like from here?
Yeah. Plans. What are my plans?
Yes.
Kind of a thing. Okay. So our corporate structure has like a 10-year agreement, right? So I'm coming up on year 9. In the next year, I have to look at renegotiating, selling, or whatever. I'm 52 years old. My intentions are I'm probably going to renew for another 10 years. That'll put me at about 62 years old, prime time to maybe sell the company and move on. My office manager is a year younger. My, care manager is a year older. So we're all kind of the same age. And I keep joking with them. They can't leave until I do,
Sure.
And they tell me they're going to leave together and we'll see, So, when they leave, they're leaving together. They don't care, what year that is. So I keep saying 10 years, I probably have got a good 10 years left in it. So
Okay.
Yeah.
And then so your routes are, you can sell it,
yep.
you can close it.
Yep.
Yeah,
I've got a few friends that have closed offices, I was in a profit mastery group with a handful of owners kind of around the country. Two of them, unfortunately, their offices, became, it was just impossible to staff. They were unprofitable and they had to close their doors. They couldn't sell. So I would say that's pretty rare though. Most of the time, folks find a way to sell the company. So I'm really hoping, when I sell, I'll be able to do so and retire. So find the right person.
There's we've done an episode with some people you've probably networked with about how to exit your current career.
I saw Drew.
Oh, we haven't had Drew on yet.
You haven't had Drew on yet? No.
It's Kelly.
Drew
we
and I-
had.
We had Kelly on. Yep.
Oh,
So
okay.
Kelly's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Drew and I have talked a number of times. So
Yes, I met you and Drew at the same time.
that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, we need to have Drew on. I think we should have Brad on at some
Yeah.
point.
Drew's a good guy. Yeah, he and I've talked about several times. Him helping me maybe buy another book of business.
Okay, that's what I had to say.
Yeah, I bought a smaller unaffiliated home care company and incorporated it into mine.
Yeah.
About 5 years ago, and looking at maybe doing it again here shortly. So
Okay.
it's one way to grow. I could hire a marketer, to go out and do the things, and it would cost me, say, $150,000 to $200,000, a year
Sure.
to do that kind of a thing. Or I can buy another smaller home care company, absorb it into mine, and that might as well cost around two years worth of labor, so.
Sure. So now when you acquire that, you get the employees with it, you get everything.
Yep,
When you-
retrain everybody, rewrite all the contracts, do all the fun stuff.
Did you have much turnover when you acquired?
No, not really. It was a good fit. We had one client that, just said, no, I think we're done. Mom will go into a facility at this point, but we picked up maybe 115, 120 clients, at that
Okay.
time. We picked up 65 caregivers. We had a good run where we were doing a lot of work. This is just before COVID. That we did this, and
Go figure.
right.
Let's say.
Yeah, and we were also doing a lot of work with the with auto injuries. So folks that have been in catastrophic auto incidents, right?
Yep.
And
Now-
Michigan no fault auto.
That's what I was
Yeah,
wondering.
we went from being able to charge around $30 an hour and pay caregivers, 20, 18, 15, 28, whatever it was,
Yeah.
plus the payroll costs, and be able to make a little bit of money. They cut our pay to like $16.40, which was less than what we were paying the caregivers. So
Sure.
it made no sense. It was about 35% of my business, and I tried to keep it up for as long as I could. But at some point I had to let it go about 3 months in, I think.
Was it? And
That was
just hearing-
2021 July. So
Okay. Hearing the numbers, you guys run very thin margins. It
margins
seems
are
like
miserably thin. Yeah.
wow. Like I mean, 'cause, if you're paying, gosh,
Yeah,
it,
you can run the numbers in your head.
yeah, it
It's
just
not-
even at like
it's
two-
not a big profit margin. No, I mean, I do this because I love these people.
and you,
Everyone does.
no disrespect, but you have to. I mean,
Yeah,
like you're doing well. If you've talked about a million vacations, your wife work. This is-
yeah,
but like,
yes, yeah.
um,
My wife is an underwriter in mortgage. So.
oh, okay, yeah. So that's where the no. But like because I mean, I really am doing some numbers
Yeah.
because you're talking about your insurance cost you this,
Yep.
and it's just like, wow, you guys.
Yeah, it's a lot. It really is. The margins are thin, and they get thinner when you add things like ESTA, and other things. So the costs keep going up, and every year my insurance goes up by 12 to 18%.
Sure.
Providing healthcare for folks, I'm probably looking at 18%, increase here in the next couple of months in the cost of that. So
Now,
good times.
let's say now, do you have the ability to expand? No, because you're a franchise.
Yeah.
Do they set all your what you can do, what you can't do?
To a degree.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
I'm registered as a PDN office as well, so I can do private duty nursing.
Okay.
So we do kind of like on the periphery of home health. So
Yep.
infusions, wound care, bed box setups, things like that.
sure.
If we really wanted to, and we had the bandwidth, taking on cases with a little bit of trach care or ventilator work, that kind of thing is all very possible. But you need to have a staff of LPNs and RNs to do that, and I've never had more than a couple on our roster at any time, so
Yeah,
it should be a lot of work.
man, um, say it seems like you guys are trying to, you're running all over with
Yeah.
random pieces of um clients, and so everybody's from a different walk of life, and
Yeah, yeah.
um
Yeah, there are companies that try to do it all. They have a hospice, they have home care, they have home health, they have OT, they have PT,
yep,
those kind of things. What I've found is if you're trying to do it all,
yeah,
it's kind of like, being what is it that they say, a master of none, it's
Never half-ass two things when you could whole-ass one thing.
yes.
I like that one too. I've seen that myself.
Now, I say because my wife, right?
Yeah.
The idea with her is what we'd like to do is, so I'm in real estate.
Yep.
We love to give,
Yep.
which don't tell anybody that it's off there.
Right.
But one of the things is we want to, what you had mentioned was, hey, we charge here, and yes, sometimes with e-cost to these people.
Yep.
Like, but we'd love to be able to go in and say, hey, you have a client that is having a hard time getting up off the toilet. Well,
Yeah.
I can install a grab bar.
Yep.
Well, here, this grab bar is going to cost you $42 to install.
Yep.
Now my company gets to come in, right? So my wife and I would go in together. She'd go, hey, all right, these are the things we're walking through.
Mhm.
All right, I'm installing a grab bar in the shower. I'm installing a grab bar here. And we're making their life just that much easier.
Yeah, for sure.
Is that something that you guys can incorporate into your business, or is that not something you're allowed to do because of your being,
I don't know if it wouldn't be allowed, but it would be different. I will say there are offices that do other things, things that not any of the other offices do.
Sure.
There's an office, in Wisconsin that has a day center, and none of the rest of the offices in the country have one, but they decided they were going to do that. They did it and then asked permission, and that's how that went. But,
Sure.
and there are others, places that have adult foster care or other things. But for the most part, those kind of periphery jobs, doing those little extras. Sometimes I could see where it might make sense, as part of our book of business, but I like to keep it simple.
Sure.
For me, it's I'm going to do the best I can to provide in-home care, and make it affordable and take care of as many people as I can, keep them safe, happy, healthy. So,
Oh, so you're doing a great job. I mean, you won an award for having the best, right?
Yeah,
So that's
yeah.
something not to sell short, right?
No, I appreciate it too. It was really nice to be recognized.
Now, if somebody wanted to own, it's myself, but I'm not going to. But if somebody wanted to own a business like this,
Yeah.
what's the best way to get started? Because I think when we talked, and maybe I'm wrong, but
Yeah.
you don't have a medical degree, correct?
No, I don't. My degrees are in philosophy and theology. So
Yeah, underwater basket weaving. Way to
Right,
go.
exactly.
Say
Yeah,
no.
they didn't have any job openings at the philosophy factory in Green Bay, so
Right.
I went into.
Is that where you're from?
No.
Oh, I was gonna say, man.
I joke that way, My middle child has a degree in poli-sci from DePaul, and I was kind of getting a bit of crap, at one point, about getting a degree in communism with a minor in gay shit, because
Yeah.
that's a LGBTQ, minor.
Yeah.
And he reminded me very swiftly that I had my degrees in philosophy and theology, and
Yeah.
obviously I'm not working in those things either. So
So if they wanted to get started, they wanted to grow this business.
Yep.
How would they go about doing this?
yeah, honestly, if you're going to start from scratch, more power to you. I think it's always a little bit easier if you've got kind of the playbook, that McDonaldization kind of appealed to me. Having some of the tools already in place, made a lot of sense to me. For some people, they want the freedom to make their own decisions and whatnot. All of that's fine, but the tools that I get as part of the toolkit for my franchise just make my life that much easier. If I had to go out and find those things myself, it would have been a lot harder, I think. So
Sure. Well, because if you were about to start one up from
I was,
scratch,
yeah.
and then, so I guess
it was another franchised group, so it would have been.
Oh, it was okay.
Yeah, but it would have been a different playbook,
Sure.
So
Okay, but now, so they give you the, hey, this is how we take care of them.
Yep.
This is, if this happens, you call this. If this happens, you call this.
You need these tools, you need this type of insurance, you need these systems in place, you need this staff, you know.
Sure.
So
And when you took over the book of business, so you had 20 clients, you said?
yep.
So was it just the owner working, or did they have employee?
No.
Sorry, besides the caregivers?
Right. So there was one office person that was kind of an admin, and then there was the owner. And
Okay.
that was pretty much it. So
Okay. So, yeah, and because to me, the logistics of getting a person from one spot to the other, that's, I can
Yeah.
just Google Maps that.
Yeah,
in 2
yep.
seconds. But now, have you guys created an app to like log things, or?
there's an app in so we use a platform called SwiftOps, and they rolled out an app actually prior to SwiftOps. We were in a system that was proprietary called Health Manager, and there was an app that we were one of the original pilot groups for in 2017. It clocks in and out tasks. You know, there's a task list that you have to click through, and you sign, client signs with their finger. It has proximity alerts, you know, so it tells us all this stuff. And all of that now has been mandated by the Medicaid office. They call it EVV, electronic verification. Um, you need to have a system like that where they're using an app that tells everybody, you know, including Medicaid, when you bill them, that the caregiver was there, they did what they were asked, and that they left at a certain time.
Sure.
All that stuff. So
So let me ask this. You touched on this briefly. So let's say you hire 3 people a week,
yep.
and you said you have about a 25% turnover ratio, but how many of those 3 people a week do you have that last a year?
It depends. I would say that if we hire 3 people, probably 1 or 2 of them actually like work on a regular basis. We might hire 3 people and one of those 3 people doesn't ever start, you know?
Sure.
We might hire 3 people and all 3 of them start and all 3 of them stay forever, you know,
Right.
which is awesome. I have some folks that have been on the roster for 14 years, so they predated me, you know, by 5 years. So it all depends. A lot of times though, people cycle in, they cycle out, depending on their state of life, what's going on in their life. If they've got a loved one they're taking care of, whether that's a kid or an adult in their life, you know, sometimes they take some time off. You know, so we might have somebody open on our roster that hasn't worked in 3 months. You know, maybe even a year.
And
But they come back.
How long do you keep somebody on the roster without working?
So if they aren't picking anything up, you know, we might shut it off, you know, but if they give us a call and say that they want to come back, we turn it back on.
Oh, sure.
Okay. That's pretty easy stuff.
Okay. I say that's great. I mean,
Yeah.
having that flexibility, because it's hard to find employees, and then have the flexibility that makes you stand out as a company, right?
Yeah, yeah, and sometimes we share a caregiver, for example, with another company. If they've got a company that they're also working for, and that company has a client that they love, and they're there 30, 40 hours a week, they may not do any work with us for a while, you know, but that client, you know, goes into a facility or passes away, and then they're looking to come back, you know, so.
Say, yeah, that kind of reminds me of a question I
Yeah.
forgot. So you'd mentioned a couple times, a person goes into a facility. So, all right, from my understanding, right, somebody calls you up,
Yep.
and they need care, whether it's my mom just, she broke her hip or something.
Yep.
So at what point do you guys stop care besides death? Like, when do you stop care? Do you advise on, hey, we should probably go into a, like, how does that work? How does
We
that work?
do tell folks when, for example, we don't think an individual is safe, you know, by themselves. You know, and either that means family or caregiver should be there 24/7.
Sure.
We'll give them that recommendation. A lot of times, families aren't in a position to do that, either financially or the family isn't available to do that to offset the costs. Sometimes in that case, it might be easier, you know, for them to find a facility, you know, for that individual to go to, either assisted living for a while or possibly even skilled. A lot of times though, we are dealing with folks that they have fairly frequent or periodic episodes where they end up hospitalized, you know, and then you have them coming and going. It's a little easier if they're in a place that's a little more central. So Granville, Wyoming, Kentwood, Grand Rapids, if you've got an individual and they're hospitalized, I can find that caregiver something else to do typically, right? If they live in Sand Lake or Kent City, and I've got like one caregiver that takes care of that group of people up there, and another one that, works Cedar Springs, Wyoming, et cetera. If somebody for example, in Sand Lakes ends up going to the hospital once every 3 weeks and is gone for 4 or 5 days to a hospitalization, I don't know that when they come back that same caregiver is going to be available because I have to find them other work.
Sure.
So it gets difficult, but we do our darndest, to take care of folks regardless of where they live, whether it's, in Kent City or Alaska or, any of these areas around here.
Now, do you guys pay drive time?
We do between shifts, yeah. So just like with anywhere, you drive to your first shift, that's kind of your commute, right?
Okay.
But if we send you from one client to the next, we pay you drive time and mileage. So
Okay.
yep.
Perfect. That makes sense. Now, sorry, when a person goes to the hospital, but do they call you and say, "Hey, we're coming back home. We'd like to start this back up"?
Yeah, typically they do. We hope that they would
We
do
hope,
it.
right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But they would do it with a little bit of lead time, we can respond pretty quickly typically to those kind of needs, but I kind of joke, 4:30 on Friday afternoon is like my least favorite time because that's usually when somebody's giving me a call saying we need help tonight, tomorrow.
This is what my wife does. Like,
yeah.
I swear, Fridays 4:30. She's like, "Oh, everybody's getting transported and they need a
Yes,
bed."
and they need a bed now. Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
my gosh! Like what?
That's my dreaded time every Friday, every
Yes.
between like
4
4
o'clock.
4 and 6 o'clock. I'm like, oh, let's see who needs 24/7 starting tomorrow.
Right. So Friday drinks are always a thing at
Right.
6:05.
Yes.
Say you got one on the.
Oh, it'd be nice. Yeah.
David, anything else?
No, I think we hit a lot of things today.
So one of the quick last questions.
Mhm.
Okay, I have 2 questions because
Sure.
you did the 75 hard.
Yep.
One, what is the best book that you've read? It doesn't have to be there in the 75.
Yeah.
What's the best book?
Well, I got to tell you that book I was talking about earlier, Dan Martell's Buy Back Your Time,
Yep.
probably changed my life the most of anyone that I've read in a long while.
Okay.
So I really enjoyed that. I'm a big fan of another book called I and Thou by Martin Buber, who's a Jewish philosopher. So, hailing back to my old philosophy days.
Okay.
But that relationship between human beings, that interpersonal, relationship, kind of puts it all out there. I think most people would read it and go yuck, or they don't understand it, but for me, it spoke to me a good bit. So
Okay.
it was one of the early call-outs,
So
first things.
it doesn't have to be in business, but
Yeah.
the one question I keep trying to ask, I just always forget.
You're pretty good at it. I'd say 80%.
What is the best piece of advice you could give to anybody in the world
Yeah.
for any reason?
No. Don't settle for too little.
Good.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of us get really content or if not content, complacent. And we don't look for that next thing. We don't pursue the thing that we want to see or do.
I like that.
I do too.
So, all right, last question.
Yeah.
Is there any questions that we didn't ask that you thought we should have?
Ooh, oh, that's a good one. No, I think you guys did a good job. Yeah, I don't know.
You'll think of it. Don't worry, it'll come. We'll have you back on.
Yeah, most
So, guys, as always, like, subscribe, share, tell your friends, tell your family. We appreciate you listening. We hope you got a lot of knowledge out of this one. I really enjoyed this this episode.
Nick and I are going to look at doing something next week, maybe late in the week.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens. Otherwise, hopefully we'll have a guest in a couple weeks from now.
Yeah.
Michael, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you
This
for
was
having me.
great.
Yeah, good time.
Nick, you want to talk about your beer?
Shorts Brewing Fall IPA. It's a better IPA than I thought it was going to be. So,
It didn't taste like leaves at all.
right, like say, as you said, I don't know what the fall is,
Yeah.
but it's not horrible.
Definitely not pumpkin spice.
Rough.
I appreciate it. I was kind of worried. I was like,
No.
oh, flavors.
I like Down East cider, but this Southern tier,
So
this is caramel cookie bar. So freaking good.
That sounds good.
So good. Thanks for joining us, guys. We'll be back next week or the week after. We'll see. Schedule's going to get a little weird here because Nick's getting back into coaching, so we're going to do our best.
Darn me.
Yeah, it's all Nick's fault. We'll talk to everybody again real soon.
Take care.
You've dialed in to Box and Brews. You might hear something you can use, like tips under cash or tips on the suds. You're gonna want to use the smarts of these stuff, 'cause they know the brews, and they know the box, and they know they can't help the stubborn fucks. So listen up, 'cause shit's not funny, and save yourself some beer money. Bucks and brews.
Bucks and
Bucks
brews.
and brews.
Bucks and brews.